David Hockney was one of the most influential artists of the last century. Over a career that lasted more than 60 years, he created some of the most recognizable paintings in modern art. But what made Hockney truly remarkable was not only the work he produced, it was the way he worked. He was never the kind of artist who settled into one routine and repeated it for comfort. Throughout his life, he kept pushing himself to see differently, think differently, and make images in new ways. That habit of constant searching became the real engine of his career. Hockney treated art as a problem of vision. He was always asking how the eye works, how light changes what we see, and how a painting can capture something that a photograph cannot. He paid attention to small shifts in color, distance, reflection, and movement. He studied his subjects carefully before he made them. Whether he was painting a portrait, a pool, a landscape, or a simple everyday scene, his process began with observation. He looked, compared, adjusted, and looked again. That patience shaped everything he made. What set him apart was his refusal to stay inside one medium or one method. When paint was not enough, he turned to photography. When photography felt limited, he built collages from many different views. When traditional tools no longer gave him the speed or freedom he wanted, he moved into digital drawing on the iPad and iPhone. He did not see these changes as a break from his practice. He saw them as part of it. For Hockney, the tool mattered less than the act of seeing clearly and testing new ideas. Today, we are looking at David Hockney's life through the lens of that process. Not just the fame, not just the records, and not just the finished paintings, but the thinking behind them, the experiments, the discipline, the curiosity, the constant refusal to stop exploring. Because if you want to understand David Hockney, you have to understand how he worked. David Hockney was born in Bradford, England in 1937, and from the beginning he was drawn to looking closely at the world around him. Even as a young artist, he was not interested in copying what everyone else was doing. He wanted to understand how images worked, how people saw, and how ordinary things could be turned into something powerful on paper and canvas. That curiosity became the foundation of his entire career. When Hockney later studied at the Royal College of Art in London, he quickly stood out because he was willing to experiment. He did not treat art as something fixed or obeying strict rules. He treated it like a process of discovery. He tested ideas, changed direction, and looked for fresh ways to make a picture feel alive. While other artists may have been trying to fit into an established style, Hockney was already trying to break out of it. At this stage in his life, his process was not about making polished masterpieces right away. It was about paying attention. He was learning how to observe with discipline. He studied shapes, people, objects, and spaces with a kind of concentration that would later define his work. He understood early that art was not just about imagination. It was also about patience, looking carefully, and making repeated decisions until an image felt right. One of the most important things about Hockney's early work is that it was personal. He often pulled from his own life, his surroundings, and the people he knew. He was not trying to hide behind abstract ideas or distant subjects. He wanted his work to come from real experience. That gave his art a directness that made it stand out. Even when the subject was simple, the way he handled it showed that he was thinking deeply about how to translate life into image. His early years also show how serious he was about process. Hockney was not interested in rushing. He was building a way of working that depended on observation, reflection, and constant revision. He looked at the world, made a decision, tested it on the page, and then adjusted again. That habit of working through problems visually became one of the strongest features of his career. Unlike many artists who spend years trying to find a single style and then stay there, Hockney was interested in something bigger. He was searching for better ways to see. That is what made his early period so important. It was not just the beginning of his career, it was the beginning of a lifelong method. From the start, Hockney was already becoming the kind of artist who would keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep pushing himself to find new ways of making images. When David Hockney moved to California in the 1960s, his entire working method entered a new phase. He arrived in an environment that was visually different from anything he had experienced in Britain. The light was sharper, the colors were clearer, and the sense of space felt more open. But instead of simply reacting to this change on a surface level, Hockney treated it as a new set of problems to study. The environment became something he had to understand through careful looking, not just something to paint quickly. The bright sunlight of California became one of his main areas of investigation. He did not just notice that it was bright. He studied how it behaved. He observed how it hit walls at different times of day, how it flattened certain surfaces while deepening others, and how it changed the way color appeared depending on angle and distance. For Hockney, light was not a background detail. It was an active force that shaped everything in the scene. His process in this period often began with standing still and watching for long stretches of time before making any marks. The swimming pools that later became central to his work were also approached in the same way. At first glance, they look simple, almost effortless. But Hockney did not treat them as simple subjects. He treated them as constantly shifting systems. Water never holds a fixed form. It breaks, reforms, reflects, and distorts everything around it. This made it one of the most difficult things to translate into painting. Instead of simplifying it, Hockney leaned into the complexity. He would study how ripples formed after movement in the water, how sunlight broke into patterns across the surface, and how reflections bent and shifted depending on the viewer's position. These were not casual observations, they were repeated studies. He often returned to the same subject again and again, each time adjusting how he understood what he was seeing. His paintings were the result of this slow accumulation of visual information rather than a single moment of inspiration. What many viewers mistake for simplicity in his pool paintings is actually control. Every element is the result of decisions made through observation. The composition is structured to guide the eye across surface, depth, reflection, and figure. Nothing is accidental. Even the sense of ease in the final image comes from a highly disciplined process underneath it. Over time, Hockney developed what can be described as a personal visual language for water and light. He was not trying to copy reality exactly as it appeared. He was trying to translate movement and perception into paint. This meant inventing ways to suggest motion on a still surface, or to show reflection without freezing it into something static. His brushwork, color choices, and composition all worked together to solve that problem. This period in California solidified one of the most important foundations of his entire career. Observation came first. Everything else followed. He did not begin with ideas and force them onto the canvas. He began with looking, studying, and understanding. Only after that did painting begin. That commitment to observation became central to his artistic process for the rest of his life. Whether he was working on portraits, landscapes, or later digital drawings, the method remained the same. He looked longer, studied deeper, and kept testing how far a single moment of seeing could be pushed into an image, and you can see that in most of his works. Space in a changing way. Hockney understood that if art wanted to feel honest, it had to reflect that movement. This idea changed the way he worked. Instead of relying only on one image, Hockney began building pictures from many different observations. He would photograph the same subject again and again from slightly different positions, often moving only a small distance each time. He was not simply collecting snapshots, he was studying how a scene changed as the body moved through it. Every new angle gave him another piece of information. What made this process important was the way he assembled the final work. He did not treat the photographs as separate documents. He brought them together into one larger composition, but he did not force them into a single perfect illusion. Instead, he allowed the shifts, breaks, and changes in viewpoint to remain visible. That choice was deliberate. He wanted the viewer to feel the movement inside the image, not just look at a flat surface and accept it as complete. In many ways, this was Hockney working through a problem rather than just making a picture. He was asking how a scene is actually experienced over time. How does a room appear when you walk across it? How does a person change when you view them from more than one angle? How does space feel when it is not reduced to one frozen position? These questions shaped his process. The collages were his way of testing the answers. He spent time arranging, comparing, and adjusting the photographs until the final composition carried the right sense of energy. The finished work was not about technical perfection, it was about perception. It showed that reality is not always neat, fixed, or stable. It shifts as we move through it. This was one of the reasons Hockney became so important. He was not satisfied with repeating old formulas. He used his process to challenge them. The photographic collages were more than experiments. They were a direct response to the limits of traditional perspective. Hockney wanted to make images that felt closer to how people really see, remember, and experience the world. That willingness to question the structure of an image, then rebuild it from the ground up, was central to his method. It showed the same pattern that defined his whole career. He observed, tested, revised, and pushed forward. He never accepted the first answer if he believed there was a better one. Many artists settle into one method once they find something that works. David Hockney did the opposite. His process was built on movement, curiosity, and a constant refusal to stay in one place creatively. Even in his 70s and 80s, he was still testing new tools, new surfaces, and new ways of turning observation into image. He did not see age as a reason to slow down. He saw it as another stage for experimentation. What made Hockney's later work so important was not just that he used digital devices, it was the way he used them. When he began drawing on the iPhone and the iPad, he was not chasing novelty, he was chasing immediacy. He wanted a tool that could keep up with the speed of seeing. He liked being able to make a mark the moment an idea appeared, without setting up brushes, waiting for paint to dry, or losing the first feeling of a scene. That direct connection between eye, hand, and image was central to his process. Digital drawing gave him a different kind of freedom. He could work quickly, test ideas, erase them, repeat them, and keep going without feeling trapped by one decision. That mattered to Hockney because he never treated art as a finished formula. He treated it as a living process. Every tool offered a different way to solve the same basic problem. How do you make what you see feel alive on the surface? This is why his later work feels so connected to the rest of his career. There was no break between the painter of the swimming pools and the artist drawing on an iPad. The medium changed, but the method stayed the same. He was still studying light, space, movement, and color. He was still asking how vision works. He was still looking for a way to translate experience into an image that felt immediate and real. Hockney never attached his identity to one material. Oil paint, watercolor, photography, photo collage, tablet drawing, each one was simply another instrument in a larger investigation. If a tool helped him see better, he used it. If it opened up a new possibility, he followed it. That flexibility is one of the reasons his work remained fresh for so long. He did not protect one style. He kept expanding his practice. His willingness to embrace technology also reveals something deeper about his character as an artist. He was not interested in preserving tradition for its own sake. He was interested in what was useful, what was expressive, and what could push his thinking forward. That is why his process stayed so relevant. He understood that the act of making art is not about defending old habits. It is about staying alert, staying curious, and staying open to better ways of working. Whether he was painting by hand or drawing on a screen, Hockney was doing the same thing, watching carefully, responding quickly, and trying to understand the world more fully. That constant experimentation became one of the defining features of his career, and one of the clearest signs of how serious he was about the work itself. Throughout his career, David Hockney became one of the most celebrated artists in the world. His work entered major museum collections across Europe, North America, and Asia, and his exhibitions drew huge audiences wherever they were shown. But the scale of his success was never the most interesting thing about him. What made Hockney stand out was the way his career kept moving forward. He did not simply become famous and repeat the same formula for the rest of his life. He kept working, kept experimenting, and kept asking new questions. That is one of the reasons his legacy is so strong. Hockney was not only admired for the paintings that made him famous, he was respected for the consistency of his curiosity. Across 6 decades, he kept changing the way he worked without losing the core of what made his art recognizable. He moved between painting, drawing, photography, collage, and digital work, but every shift still carried the same serious attention to seeing, light, color, and space. In 2018, his painting Portrait of an Artist, Pool with Two Figures, sold for more than $90 million, setting a record at the time for a living artist. The sale confirmed just how important his work had become in the art market. But even that moment was only part of the story. The painting was valuable not just because of its price, but because it came from a long line of works that showed how carefully Hockney studied people, water, movement, and atmosphere. The record mattered, but the process behind the work mattered even more. What made Hockney remarkable was his refusal to stop growing. Many artists reach a certain level of success and settle into it. Hockney did the opposite. He kept changing tools and methods because he believed that art should remain active. He showed that creativity is not about finding one perfect answer and repeating it forever. It is about staying open, staying curious, and being willing to look again. That attitude gave his work its long life. Even when he was already established as one of the major artists of his generation, he continued to explore new possibilities. He was always testing how a scene could be shown differently, how a surface could hold light differently, and how the act of drawing could be pushed into new territory. His achievements were not only measured in exhibitions, records, or museum placement. They were also measured in the way he kept expanding what his art could do. David Hockney's legacy is built on more than fame. It is built on discipline, experimentation, and the refusal to become fixed. He showed that an artist can remain inventive for a lifetime. He showed that process matters just as much as finished work. And he showed that the real strength of a career is not only in what it produces, but in how deeply it keeps evolving. That spirit of experimentation is what will keep his work alive for years to come. His paintings will be remembered, his records will be noted, and his influence will continue to spread. But above all, David Hockney will be remembered as an artist who never stopped learning how to see. No doubt he remains one of the greatest artists England ever produced. He will be missed especially by this channel. Jesus loves you.